Hello and welcome back to Even More News, the first and only news podcast. My name's Katy Stoll. This is Benny the Bean Button.
Yeah, it is. Hi, Benny the Bean Button, and Katy, I guess, as well. I'm Cody. My dog's under the desk. I'm so sorry, folks. No visuals of the other dog.
Jonathan is also here.
Hi. Hi, Benny.
Hi. Benny's clingy because I just got back from a trip. But he's going to have to go down. You know what?
He's going to have to go down.
Go down?
On the floor.
Oh, from your lap.
News. We've got so very much of it. I did my best to stay apprised of what was happening in the world while I was gone. But I'm sure you guys did a better job. Jonathan, what is our lead story today?
This one just happened this morning, so you didn't really you missed stuff, whatever. The Supreme Court said this morning, with not much explanation, that racial profiling is okay for ICE to do, probably.
I love a nice strong ruling that makes it very clear, probably, maybe.
Well, they got rid of, it's assumed to be 6-3, although this is shadow docket, unsigned stuff. They said that those the district and appeals courts that said that, no, you can't just show up at Home Depot or at a car wash and grab people because of where they're working or what language they're speaking. That's not okay. The Supreme Court says that they are allowed to do that while this case continues to go through the process, but Kavanaugh is the only person who wrote anything about this, and he seemed to indicate that he believed that ICE was going to prevail on the merits. What he said was that reasonable suspicion, which is what you need to, question people about their immigration status, is different from probable cause, and that for reasonable suspicion, you have to look at what he called the totality of the circumstances. And he said it's just common sense that if there are people who are Latino and speaking Spanish and at a car wash, come on. Then you can question them. And if you are a citizen or here legally, they just question you and let you go. So what's the big deal? Seeming to ignore what actually happens is that they grab you and detain you for hours or days. And also, it's against the Fourth Amendment to anyone who's not them.
Also, if it's not a big deal, if you're a citizen, that's going to be fine. No, you're rounding up citizens too. What? It is a big deal. It's a very big deal, obviously.
Only non-citizens speak Spanish, Katy.
Only non-citizens speak Spanish. There's no possible way this could go badly. There's no possible way.
We're a papers, please country. Finally.
Yeah, basically, we're a papers, please country. If they see you, all you have to do is have your papers on you at all times, and then there's no
problem. There's no problem.
This is, it's bizarre on top of being incorrect, because they're not saying what the other courts should look for, right? They're not saying, oh, by the way, the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to this, and that's how you should rule, which is kind of what the Supreme Court does, is gives guidance to judges. They just say, ICE can keep doing this stuff in LA or anywhere else, but in LA, while this goes through the normal channels. There's no guidance so that the judges who've already looked at this shouldn't say the exact same thing. Like, if it goes back to the appeals courts or the district court judges, they should look at it and say, okay, my opinion still holds that this is bullshit. Common sense, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Are they going to do that, do you think?
I mean, right now, it seems like district court judges have still been trying to hold the line, and they're incredibly dismayed that even some Trump-appointed judges are saying, oh, yeah, we're pointing out that these things are blatantly illegal, and the Supreme Court is just saying, meh.
For now, it's fine. Yeah, exactly.
Bad.
Yeah, it seems quite bad that they're gonna keep doing the things that they've been doing. Speaking of ICE, there was this ICE raid on a Hyundai factory.
Yeah, immigration officials last week raided a Hyundai. Immigration officials last week raided a Hyundai LG plant in Georgia. They're setting up a factory to build electric batteries. And so the company's brought over hundreds of people from South Korea who have experience building and setting up those factories. These factories will ultimately hire American workers to work in them as part of the whole commitment from South Korea to invest in the United States that Trump is touting, that whole thing. Well, that place was raided and hundreds of people, nearly 500, were detained, which they called the largest ever Homeland Security enforcement operation at a single location. This is strange because it's immediately unclear what the legal status was. South Korea says that there were visas involved in this, but the Trump administration says that they were skirting some rules in order to have those workers here. And even Trump seemed to suggest, well, we need to have ways where people can bring in workers to set up stuff. We don't want to shut that down. But I guess they were here illegally. He was a little non-committal about it since he notices that it's an embarrassment.
Yeah, he did. He does seem to be doing that with a lot of things kind of lately, of just sort of like, well, this, but like, I guess we got to do it. Almost like he's kind of unaware of things as they happen, and then is like, finds out sometimes even when he's asked about it.
Interesting side note, not a surprising side note, but is that dementia or is that his strategy? It's very unclear, but the president never seems to have any information about what's happening, according to what comes out of his mouth anyway.
Yeah.
About anything.
Well, yeah, it seems to be DHS is very happy because they've been given this quota, right? Arresting 500 people in a day, that's 1/6 of the way to the quota. Oh, thank goodness. We don't have to worry about the quota that we're going to get yelled at about. But then it comes to Trump, and Trump is thinking, I just told South Korea that they had to invest hundreds of millions of dollars here. What South Koreans are going to want to come and work here if they risk spending days in a nice detention center over it? Because now that plant is going to be delayed from opening, delaying those American jobs, which I don't know if any of you have noticed are going away.
Are
Going
doing
away
really badly for a couple months now. Even with the new person in the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's,
That's okay. According to Jesse Waters, it's good, and it's because we're deporting all these people. The jobs are gone. You deport the people, and the jobs are gone. Even though that doesn't make any sense, there'd be more job opening. If they were taking our jobs and then we deport them, then there would be more job openings because those jobs would be open. But job openings are also down, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've lost, I think, 1.2 million immigrants have left the job force since the beginning of this year, either through deportation or they're here legally and are afraid to work or finding different opportunities or leaving for any number of reasons. And you'll see people on Fox News, Trump people, saying, well, that's the reason the job numbers are down is because we're deporting all these people. But shouldn't those people, if they're taking jobs from native-born Americans, be immediately replaced with the native-born Americans?
Exactly. The job openings would be up because the people have left the jobs, so those jobs would be open.
I don't know. These engineers that get fired should probably just go. If they really want to work hard, they'll take that pay cut.
Yeah. It's a long series of actions that sort of, like, to your point, Jonathan, of like, well, who's going to want to come here? If a deal is made, then who's going to want to come here and do that if they're going to just like end up being detained or whatever? And that seems also like a pattern with this administration. It's like, well, who's going to trust us? Who's going to want to do this? Who's going to want to do anything involving America if we keep like betraying everybody and lying and doing all these things?
Yeah, it's like the least trustworthy administration. Like, he's the deal maker, but you can't trust any deal you make with him.
They're bad deals.
Right. Either he's going to turn on you personally or he's given a different quota to someone else and they're going to do what they're doing. So these 475 people were mostly South Korean subcontractors with B-1 training visas. They were temporary workers. These are not people who are like, now I'm going to live in Atlanta and turn it blue for good. That's not what this is.
Exactly.
So it's both evil and a screw up on their part.
Yeah, exactly. And it is just a side note about sort of Trump just sort of like being unaware of things and not really keeping up on stuff or being aware of what's going on and being like finding out news as people ask him. According to Vance, his vice president, that's because he's got a Marine Corps style of leadership. He said in a recent interview.
So they never know what's going on either?
Yeah, in a recent interview, with the president's daughter-in-law, who's on Fox News now, interviewing the vice president pretty regularly. It would not have shocked me if I had learned your father-in-law was in the Marine Corps. Of course, he didn't serve in the Marines, but he has a Marine Corps style of leadership. And the Marine Corps style of leadership he cites is delegating. He says, because he delegates, he says, like, you do this, and then he lets them do it, and then that's
you give
that.
orders in the right. Do you think he said Marines and then was like, oh shit, bone spurs thing? That's gonna come back to me. He wasn't in the Marines, obviously, but
I don't. But he could have been. He could have been because he delegates, and you can only learn how to delegate in the Marine Corps.
I honestly, what does delegating even mean? I've never been in the Marine Corps. I don't understand.
How could you if you're not a Marine? How would you know what delegating is? Anyway, he's an embarrassing man.
He's an embarrassing man, and so is our vice president. This ad is brought to you by Vive Healthcare, the makers of Apretude, cabotegravir. You never skip your SPF, and you carry hand sanitizer like an accessory. But what are you doing for HIV prevention? One way to help protect yourself from HIV is Apretude, a prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of getting HIV in adults and adolescents weighing at least 77 pounds. You must be HIV negative to receive Apretude and get tested before each injection. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. More HIV testing may be needed. Apretude does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. Get Apretude as scheduled. Missing doses increases your HIV risk. Don't take Apretude if allergic to it or taking certain medicines that may interact. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, liver problems, and mental health. Serious side effects include allergic reactions or rash, liver problems, and depression. If these occur, get medical help right away. The most common side effect is injection site reaction. Bring your A game and talk to your doctor. Learn more at apretude.com or call 1-888-240-0340.
To our next topic, which is war, the Department of, what is it here for? Forever.
For everything, forever.
The Department of War.
Yeah, they renamed it. Well, they didn't really rename it. They're like, they can't officially rename it, but they are going to take down all
They're
the signs.
changing the signs and the websites and stuff.
It's very Gulf of America coded.
Yeah, it's costing millions of dollars to change all those signs and stationery, and Pete Hegseth's little buttons where he's saying war. He just tweets war all the time.
Now it's the official title is the Department of Defense, a.k.a. the Department of War.
Donald the Dove.
Yeah, and speaking of the war, that is the name of the department, but that we're not doing because we're the peace president, but also all the war we're doing. We blew up that boat.
Yep.
The Venezuelan boat, which maybe was carrying drugs.
Who was on it?
We don't know. 11
we
migrants.
don't know.
We don't know. We don't get to know.
We don't need to know.
J.D. Vance tweeted on September 6th, killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. To which one of the Krasensteins said, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. Good point, Brian Krasenstein.
That's true.
Yeah.
To which J.D. Vance replied, I don't give a shit what you call it.
So presidential.
Epic stuff from Loretta Bacon, Vice President.
None of this should be surprising. We've talked about it. We've talked about it for a long time. If you go back, you can see it in the first administration. In fact, maybe we'll talk about it with this North Korea conversation that's just now percolating. Moves like trying to change cartels, which I'm not saying cartels are, great, but trying to designate them as a terrorist organization, framing immigrants coming to this country as an invasion, the rhetoric around this man and this administration and the previous one has been preparing us all along for the inevitability of, Department of Defense to become the Department of War. And who are we at war with? We're at war with terrorists, and the terrorists are the drug cartels. And it is not good. Okay, Cody, I know you're ready to go, chomping at the bit.
It's not good. I'm chomping, I'm champing, I'm doing all kinds of stuff.
eloquent thoughts. I know you do.
Sorry, folks. I mean, I agree with you. We've talked about this for a long time, recategorizing people using this kind of language of like, oh, you're a terrorist, actually. Oh, you're traitorous. Oh, it's an invasion. Oh, an invading army. Oh, we're importing all these military-aged men. It's all of this sort of rhetoric to give the sense that we are constantly at war. And that is a huge element of, it's like this just one of the tenets of like a fascist movement growing and being entrenched in the nation is you're always at war. It is perpetual warfare, whether it's an actual like official war where you're trying to expand territory. We haven't gone to war with Canada or Greenland yet, but it is always this sense that we are at war. And Trump can say, I've started no new wars, and I hate war. We're the anti-war people, while Vance is out there doing speeches saying like, we got to be warriors. If God forbid, if we ever send your kids to war, because they're preparing to do that pretty clearly. And there's also this sort of rhetorical sense of like, well, so I guess we are always at war because what the military can clearly do is just kill whomever. Their position is might makes right, and we have we're strength through peace, but their version of peace is blowing up whomever without proving anything about who they just blew up. So their position now is that they can just kind of blow up whoever, and they can say we're not at war, but we are, because we're going after the invading terrorists or these cartels who are our wartime enemy, but we haven't officially declared war, so it's not really war. And this is also an American thing. We, as the nation of America, has always sort of like had this like, well, we're not at war, but we kind of are. There's the forever wars we're in, and that was more official, but this is an American empire sort of thing. But Trump and Vance are shouting it, and the contradictions are even more obvious. And they're putting us into a position where we can kind of just be the American empire, blow up whoever with no repercussions, and say that we're actually peaceful. We're a peaceful nation. We don't like war, even though you're doing acts of war constantly. Is the problem is you can say we're anti-war, but you're doing acts of war. So which is it?
Which is it?
Because in the Bush years, we didn't declare war against Afghanistan and Iraq, obviously, but we were in those wars. We like invaded countries.
Yeah.
And so it was very easy. Not that it worked for a few years, but it was very easy to point and say, look, they're trying to use this war as the blanket for doing anything, for the Patriot Act, all this horrible stuff they're doing. You have to be afraid because we're at war. Now, Trump and Vance have taken it to the next level where they're like, we could be at war with anyone at any time, including our own cities. And I think
ding, ding.
Yeah.
That's the next part of it.
For them, because they got away, Trump got to bomb Iran and then say, we're done now, the end. And so he's like, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we blow up this boat or anyone else we don't like? It's like, we can do it all under the guise of stopping terrorism, because we define 12 different things as terrorism, and we decide who the terrorists are, and we don't even have to show you evidence. Marco Rubio didn't have to do a Colin Powell and go in front of everyone and with diagrams and shit. They didn't have to do anything. They said, we blew up these people. We stopped it because it's drugs, which is terrorism.
You know who they didn't blow up is that police union leader who smuggled a bunch of fentanyl into the country. They didn't blow her up. It's like what you're saying. It's like all these like sort of like blanket justifications that are now just like, well, that's where we're at. We're in perpetual warfare. We can do whatever we want. You even see there's this trend I noticed over the weekend of a lot of right-wing accounts like the Posobics of the world, the Gunther Eaglemans, whatever, all the blue check right wingers, posting these memes of like a moment from a past war, like Washington in a battle, or just like an image of a past war, and over it is text that says like, but sir, a district judge said that you couldn't do this or whatever, something like that, alluding to like, well, we shouldn't have rules or anything like that, and judges shouldn't be able to stop you from doing X or Y, war crimes specifically. And that is, I think, a great example of what we're talking about, which is, so you're posting this image of a war and saying like a district judge shouldn't stop you from doing this. Are we at war now? That's a war. You're posting an image of a literal war and saying it's the same thing as us doing this. So are we at war? And to them, they would say yes, but no, because we're always at war and we have a Department of War now. And Hegseth is out there saying, I'm the war guy, but it's not official. So it's okay. So we're just going to keep doing this. Also, the Pentagon they every couple of years they release the National Defense Strategy. In the past, specifically the first Trump administration and many other administrations, basically it's just sort of like your strategy of like we need to prepare for a war. Obviously, we got to have a war going on, and it's been basically prepare for a possible war with China and Russia. That's sort of like the general directive, and I'm not saying that's good. But that's what the situation has been. And this new national defense strategy has made it pretty clear that they're shifting from that to quote unquote domestic issues, the Western Hemisphere and domestic issues, another part of fascism, aside from the perpetual warfare that we have now found ourselves to be in, and maybe we have been in for a longer time than we're willing to admit. Imperialism turned inward is a phrase you might hear a lot. And that is what they are doing. They're taking the military and they're saying, we're actually going to use the military to focus on domestic issues, whether that is rounding up people based on racial profiling and deporting them, asking them for their papers, or using the military to go into these cities and post images where you're saying it's war on this city. They're
posting
saying we're going to
AI slop depicting
blowing up Chicago. And that is what this is all about. It is using the military as a force against the people in the nation. That the military, like we've said this before, they're gonna shoot civilians at some point. It's going to happen.
And why isn't this rhetoric breaking through? Why isn't that more alarming to people?
It is. They don't like it. It's unpopular.
It is, but there's...
Like, it's not as unpopular as, like, bacon being expensive, which is frustrating, but it's not popular. People don't like this.
Some people do, enough people do where it's working so far, but, and maybe being more people need to point out, I did see tons of, again, these right-wing freaks being, quote tweeting, JD Vance's, like, I don't give a shit, with, like, this is what I voted for. And it's like, so you voted for apologizing for war crimes and saying that you can do whatever war crime you want. That's what they're saying, because they will say whatever they have to, because it's all about Trump and Vance, and whatever they say goes. It is pathetic, but that's where we're at. But I do think, the hope is that people actually think it's bad that the vice president's like, I don't give a shit if this is a war crime.
Problem is that there's lots of things that people think are bad. There's just so much of it that they don't have the space to register it, and they see it on the reporting of it, and like, well, that doesn't look good. The next thing comes down the pipeline, and you forget about it until it actually blows up in your face. It's hard to keep all of these different things in your mind at once. I think that that's part of it.
There's also, because you see also people bringing it up to the president, Sir, you posted that Chicago's going to find out why it's called the Department of War, which is technically not.
Yeah.
And then they ask about this. Why are you going to war with American cities? And he says, like, be quiet, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why would you the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
I would want to smack that man right in his goddamn face. Listen.
Perpetual warfare. We're not at war. Well, sir, you posted that they're going to find out why it's called the Department of War. You're saying it, and then when you're asked about it, you tell this woman to shut up.
He may not have known it was posted.
That's true.
He should know what was posted.
I know.
should know.
I know these moments are tough for people. You know, when you're in the moment, like it's easy to say like you should say this or you should say this. It's tough in the moment to do that. He's the president, all this kind of stuff. You know what you're talking about? Shut up. You're second rate. That's why blah. You don't listen. Blah blah blah. I want someone to tell him to fuck off. Honestly, one person. Fuck you. This is what you said. Here it is. Here's what you said. You're second rate, you piece of shit, lying asshole.
I would have lost
fucking
my
pedophile, rapist. Fuck you.
And she.
But again, I know it's hard.
I mean, what is
and
she
you don't
supposed
want
to-
and then you'll be fired. And you won't have a
actually
job. I get it. But
know that she could have, but
and you'll be the target of him. He will go to war
I
with
would
that
have
person.
been fired for slapping him in the face for speaking to me that way.
This meme is. It says, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning." It's the like, "I love the
Apocalypse
smell of napalm
Now,
in the morning,"
yeah.
which Robert Duvall says in Apocalypse Now, and he's got a little AI slop thing with fire behind him, and he's dressed like Robert Duvall from the movie, and it's called Shy-Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now, if you haven't
Shy-Pocalypse.
seen it, it's a movie about how war is
I thought
good.
it was
War's good.
Chipocalypse Now for some reason, but I get it better
It's
now.
a pro
Shy because of
Shy-Apocalypse,
Chicago.
yeah.
I was like, what? Chipocalypse?
No, it could also be Chipocalypse Now, which is like a animated Ruffles movie I'm sure they're making, and they're like, damn it, what are we we already
Chipocalypse
Stole
Now,
it
yeah.
from us.
but it's like, one, the right can't understand movies, right?
Or they do, and they're just psychopaths.
And I'm not saying like just because it's a movie about war that the message is war is bad and things are more complicated than that, but most war movies are about how war is bad.
Yeah. Most
including
are.
I
Including
would argue,
Apocalypse Now. Yeah. Oh, like
also-
is the Heart of Darkness like? Is it? It's positive, right? Heart of like.
No, Heart of Darkness. Yeah, it's about how he liked war.
Good. Okay.
The slop, but I don't think he saw it. I don't think he saw that.
Probably not. He should be shown it. If you're going to ask a question about going to war with American cities, show him the thing that he posted, even though he probably wasn't the one that posted it. It's also, I mean, it was also asked, do you have plans for Chicago this week? And he said, no, not really. We're going to go someplace, but we're picking. Question, you've been talking a lot about Chicago. No, Chicago's been talking a lot about it. Well, that's not true. You posted about it. I know. He's a very funny, disgusting
I'm sorry.
person. I know. I understand. I know.
No.
But we just need to, again, we're in perpetual warfare with ourselves. He said, maybe not Chicago, we're going to go someplace, but we're picking. It doesn't matter where. They know they need to go to another place. We're going to pick a city because that's our plan, to do city to city to city to continue this.
But then, well, yeah, he was asked about Memphis and
yes.
St. Louis.
Right.
Exactly.
And he was
Yes.
like, no.
Mr. President, why target Chicago and Boston when there are cities
Why?
in red states
Let
with
me ask
higher
you.
crime rates?
Yeah. Really higher than Chicago?
There
You know-
are, like Memphis and
Excuse
St.
me,
Louis.
Excuse me. You know how many people were killed in Chicago last weekend? 8. You think there's worse than that? I don't think so.
There's no point in asking any sort of a real question. I mean, you have to ask it, but you're going to get a wild array of answers, and you try to have accountability, and you're going to say, I didn't say that. What? We've got your receipts right here. That's fake news. And that just seems to be a strategy that will always work, not just for him. I don't think we'll have time to get into the RFK Jr. Hearings, but
Yeah.
that is mind-boggling, the amount of times he's presented with the receipts of what he said, and bipartisan, by the way, not just Dems, woke libs, literally showing him what he said and how he is contradicting that, showing his lies, and just irate, saying these are lies. How do we do anything at all?
Well, it's
Yeah.
It's actually
No, go
frustrating because it's just a replay of his confirmation hearing. Like, so much of that hearing was like, you've gone over this stuff. We know this stuff. Like Bill Cassidy out there, like, well, I don't know, but you voted for him. What are you talking about? He said, RFK Jr. said that the polio vaccine killed more people than polio. I don't care for this stuff that's going on.
He said the same thing about the COVID vaccine. He says there's never been a safe and effective vaccine. Oh, but do you think Trump should win the Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed? searching his head. Yes, obviously.
Yeah,
yes.
because
Boss
of
good. Trump
because
good.
of the thing, because of how he did it, not because of what it resulted in.
But I believe him to be a mass murderer, actually.
Yeah,
Like, because
Really
you gave them all
walking
the
a
vaccine
fine
that
line
killed
here.
people.
Exactly.
Not for nothing. Like, obviously, RFK, there's plenty of stuff to criticize him about, and his own personal health issues and whatever he's struggled with is, I don't really need to get into that. However, it's hard to not watch that man speak and think, as I always do, if the roles were reversed, if this was somebody from a Dem administration, the way he would be lambasted for being so twitchy and so odd and incoherent at times. And
the breathing.
He does not seem well, despite how many pull-ups he can do with headset or not. But that is a petty little thing I'm pointing out. But it is very distracting to me whenever I watch him. I'm like, there's something. If I saw that person in public, I'd be like, they're on something, right? So
he said he started doing heroin and he could finally read.
So there you go.
Was he trying? I've seen that clip, but is that part of a larger or a longer clip where he's like, well, I understand why people do drugs like this, but it's bad. Like, he does go on to say it's bad, or
I don't know. You'd hope so.
I also don't say that to shame anybody that's had their experiences with drugs or what have you. It just, everyone's journey. That's not my point here. But my point is that the man currently doesn't seem super well. And if it was reversed, just like everything else, it would be a non-starter. And that's what people would be talking about every time.
Also, just side note, if you're talking about how like you took heroin, you could finally like focus on reading. You also can't say that you've never heard of ADD or anything as a kid,
right?
Because it sounds like you had it and then fixed it with heroin for a while. I don't know. It doesn't. That doesn't matter. It's
everything matters and nothing matters.
That's true.
We didn't really talk about this botched North Korean mission story that we alluded to, but I do think it's relevant to this Department of War, the most peaceful president ever.
Yes,
convo.
the war crime president and his war crime vice president.
Yeah, this was a operation that Trump approved, although I think he's already pretended that he had no idea about it. I'm hearing it for the first time type thing. But in 2019, he approved a mission.
Sorry, that's disqualifying as a president if you don't know anything that's happening in your administration and everything's for the first time. You
the
fired.
Buck stopped
Sorry.
everywhere else. This was the deep state. Anyway.
It's called delegating. He learned it in the Marine Corps, okay?
Again, I'm not a Marine. I don't know these things.
Read up on
in
delegation.
2019, he
We're fine.
approved a
We're
mission
friends.
where SEAL Team 6, SEAL Team 6, they were going to like sneak into North Korea and plant a device to where they could like listen to communications going to Kim Jong-un. But when they got there to this, what they thought would be a deserted shore, they saw another boat and they're like, those guys saw us. And so they killed everyone on the boat and dumped the bodies in the ocean. And it turned out to just be a fishing boat. These were civilians. They were unarmed. I think a fishing boat, right? And then they were like, abort, and left. And then they didn't tell Congress about it, and they covered it up. And we found out last week. And then they brought it up to Trump, and he goes, I'm hearing about this now for the first time. Maybe he doesn't remember that he was the president once before.
But this is like an administration ending type of thing, you'd think. Like, covering it up, not telling Congress, the president not knowing about it. What a tragic embarrassment and horrific thing to happen. You just
Presidency
did
ending for anyone else.
And bring that up to Vance. So is he going to say he doesn't give a shit what you call it? Because that's called war crime too, I'm pretty sure. But it's okay because he's the crime president and the war president, and put them together, and we're in perpetual warfare forever. That's what perpetual means.
Just the cavalierness, is that a word?
It's just casual cruelty
cavalierality,
and like, vicious.
Yeah, but just
dismissiveness, all of it. It's
so often it's just so obvious what's about to come out of my mouth. Total lack of regard for human life at all, across the board, and everything this man does and touches. Whether you are a civilian, doesn't matter. He wants his buddies to make money. He wants to do his things. He's going to just plow right through, decimate our economy, war on our citizens, but also just this. It doesn't matter. These are just some Koreans. Let's just kill them and cover it up. Let's just bomb this boat, this Venezuelan drug boat, because that's going to look good for our, well, it doesn't, the optics do not look good, but for whatever skewed rationale that they have, it doesn't matter. The loss of human life is irrelevant.
Yeah. And they're making it more and more and more normal as the days go by, and making it more and more acceptable to the people that might have a problem with. I might have had a problem with it years ago. Who knows? It's more normal. It's more accepted, and they're just going to use that to probably, I don't know. They're going to do a regime change in Venezuela. I don't know what they're going to do. They got a bunch of troops on the Mexican border. They've talked about invading Mexico. That's what Vivek wants to do.
So we're going to take more of Mexico.
All kinds of things, but even if not, clearly they're just going to keep blowing people up, probably fishermen, and not care. And it's just no good. But luckily, we've got a hero in the White House, because he is the guy who took down Epstein as an FBI informant.
He's
He's our guy.
already walking that back, huh?
Yeah.
Mike Johnson is already saying, I shouldn't have said that.
He already walked it back.
Whatever.
Yes, that is correct.
Already walked it
Why
back.
say that?
Some
What are
people
you
online were
talking
saying,
about?
no, he's amending it. He's like, actually, he worked for Russia. No, he didn't say that, but he is walking back that he should have said he was an FBI informant.
He probably shouldn't have said that. What information did you have? What information was he
Why
using?
would you try trotting that out, too? You're just creating a bigger mess.
I was only there to get directions on how to get away from there, and that's when the FBI stumbled upon me. Like, who does the FBI tend to turn as informants? What kind of people?
Let's
People who
think
have
that
information
through.
about criminal activity?
Innocent men
Innocent
who have
heroes.
a club. Innocent heroes who just have a club and nothing happened there, but something did, and he fired him, but then didn't do anything about it. It's unclear.
It could be a Departed situation where they recruited him because he looks like the kind of person that could be involved in something like
They
that. But he's
approached
super
him.
not. Yeah, they approached him. Martin
But
Sheen, Mark
not in the
Wahlberg.
way that's bad. They didn't approach him in a bad way. They approached him in a way that was like, so you know this guy, right? We've heard bad things about him from
We know
a
you're
woman
above
who
board.
describes you and him in the room talking about young girls.
Before we go, we have a new short Some More News episode as a Patreon exclusive up on our Patreon. It's all about how conservatives can't seem to remember who the president was in 2020 or earlier or ever, why that might be happening. So if you are not a member yet and you feel like signing up, go to patreon.com/somemorenews. You can also, if you just want that and don't want all the other goodies you get, you can buy that video for $3. So yeah, check it out.
Jonathan wrote it, and it turned out great. And just a little something for Patreon. Because you know what, Patreon? We truly couldn't be here without you. And we appreciate you. And it's really good, so check it out.
Yeah.
And there's another way in this show.
What is
usually, and I can't remember.
Well,
I know what it is. Sincerely, truly, from the bottom of our hearts, we love you very much.
War. Much.